One of the things you've been learning on this is that the videos correspond directly with the test. So this starts test number 4. So it's a great idea at this point to just go ahead and draw a line in your notes and go ahead and put test number 4. And what we're going to do from here on out is we have the tests are a little bit more concise. The first test had a ton of stuff, a lot of different things. So on this one, we're going to have some specific things. So now that the test is a little more condensed, I can tell you a little more what's on each test and tell you what to study. So test number 4 is going to be Plutchik's wheel. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Kohlberg's moral ladder, that will be on the next video. Universality hypothesis, we'll talk about that on this video. And we'll pick up James Lange's theory and the Cannon-Barr theory on the next video. So once you get done with all these, you're ready to study and ready to take test number 4. So this is one of the most interesting parts of psychology when it comes to understanding yourself and others and how we think in the range of emotions. This is Plutchik's wheel. Now, I'm always saying in this class that there'll be certain things that people say, oh, you took psychology 101. Oh, you must have studied Piaget. You must have studied Erickson. And they'll be like, oh, you must have studied Plutchik's wheel. Famous study. It's been around for years, and it's withheld the test of time. So this is really a good one. So what we have here on this wheel, you need to know the whole thing. Once again, the test will be designed probably like a short answer test. So we may say, what are the two different, the emotion of love is made up of what two parts of the brain, or whatever. So what we're going to tell you here is we're going to tell you that the brain has a right side and it has a left side. And we've talked about that a lot already. And one side is your creative and your emotional side, whereas the other side is your logical and thinking side. So what Plutchik is saying is so true. Plutchik is saying that all of our emotions have to come from both sides of the brain. We can't just use one side of the brain or the other. We use both. However, you may be dominantly one side or the other. So love, for example, is made up of two emotions. The emotional side is joy. So when we say we love somebody or we love something or whatever, does it bring us joy? Does it bring us that emotional, wow, I feel good, okay? Or on the logical side, it's acceptance. So we kind of wonder what we're saying when we stand before all our friends and family in a wedding and we say, I love you. And we say, what does love mean? So we've got to be sure that we understand this. So does love mean joy? That means when you don't make me feel happy anymore, I don't love you anymore? Or does it mean I'll accept you no matter what for the rest of your life? So that's the deal. Love is joy and acceptance. So we use the word love a lot of times. Our English dictionary only has one word for love, and that's really our English language. That's really a problem because we say I love you, and the next thing we're saying is, man, I love those Doritos. They have a great taste. So once again, what are we saying? Are we saying I love those Doritos, I accept those Doritos even if they're not very flavorful? No, we're saying no, I have a joy for those. The ultimate word love means it brings me joy, but on the same time, I have that acceptance that's going to last forever. So wow, that's an interesting deal. So as we move around this wheel, you're going to learn some fascinating things about emotions. And emotions are one of those things that we'd all like to be able to control our emotions. And this Plutchik's wheel helps us understand why we get these emotions. So we go around the wheel. So love once again is made up of joy and acceptance. The emotional side is joy. The logical side is acceptance. Now, then we have the emotion of submission. We submit to something or someone, or we have submission. What does submission mean? Submission is two things. Once again, okay, the logical side is acceptance. I submit to that. I accept that. Yeah, I accept that I want to be a part of that. I submit to that. I submit to your set of rules, or I submit to this, or I submit to this person. It means I accept that person, or I accept those set of rules. But look what the emotional side is. The emotional side is fear. Oh, I fear that if I don't submit to those rules that there'll be this major penalty. Oh, not that I just accept the rules, Okay? Now, what about submitting to a person? You submit to a person. Well, I submit to my wife because I accept my wife. I don't fear my wife. But what kind of a different submission would be if it was out of fear? Then it would be an emotional, almost a scared into submission. Wow. Two different things. So, can I have acceptance without fear? Not really. I have both. Isn't it? Doesn't Plutchik go out on this limb to say that we have to think of both sides of our brain all the time? Well, let me ask you this. Are you more of a right brain person or more of a left brain person? Are you more of the emotional thinking kind of person, or are you more of the logical person? Because if you're more of an emotional person, then love is a little bit more joy than it is acceptance. Submission is more fear than it is acceptance. Wow. So you have to say, what side am I coming from? And I need to balance it out with the other. Okay? So now we have something called awe. Now, we say we stand in awe of something. We have the word awesome. And sometimes we overuse the word awesome because awesome is something that's good and just takes your breath away. It's so awe. It just leaves you in awe. And when we say awesome, it's just so magnificent that you just go, wow. So what does that mean? Well, once again, it's interesting because here we go. The emotional side of awe is fear. Wow. But the logical side is surprise. Man, so what are we saying here? When we say something is awesome, do we fear it, or did it catch us off guard that we were just like, wow, I didn't see that coming? Awe. So, once again, it's both. It's both. Now, let me ask you this. This is where Plutchik says, is fear always bad? Fear can be something that's actually good. Fear can be something that tells us cautionary that we need to observe in a hurry. I have a fear of whatever, fill in the blank. If you have a fear of heights, then that means you have a caution for heights. Okay, so Plutchik says, be careful. The word fear means it's a caution. So then we move on to disappointment. Now this one's kind of interesting, okay? This one's kind of interesting. Because disappointment, all right, the logical side is surprise. Man, I didn't see that coming. That surprised me. But the emotional side is sadness. Oh. So all of a sudden, disappointment, so all of a sudden you have a child or something, and let's say it's a teenage child, and they bring home a grade from school, and the grade's not all that good, and you go, man, I'm just so disappointed. Well, what does that mean? See, once again, Plutchik's saying if we don't understand our emotions and what we're actually feeling, then we don't know what we're doing. Then we're just operating on this emotional roller coaster. So, but what are we saying to that child? You know, your kid walks in home, and all of a sudden they made a bad grade at school, and you're like, man, I'm so disappointed. Well, what are you saying? Maybe it's just, man, you're surprised. I just didn't see that coming. I thought you were doing great in that class. Okay? Or is it sadness? Man, I am just really sad that, it just made me extremely opposite of glad. It made me sad that happened. So disappointment. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful with kids. And maybe you can remember growing up too. You didn't, chances are, the way we're wired, you didn't want to disappoint your parents. But when we look back at Plutchik, he says there's two different kinds of disappointment. One of it's surprise. How many times does somebody come to you and just say something that you didn't have any idea what they were going to say, and you said, wow, man, I'm really disappointed. Well, are you surprised? Did it make you sad? Wow. Plutchik says it's a combination of both, but it's strongly one or the other. Did that disappointment make you sad, or did it just catch you off guard? You were so surprised. Oh, man, I just thought you were my best friend forever, and all of a sudden, you're not. I'm so disappointed in you. Well, was it surprise, or was it sadness? So that's what Plutchik says. He says, when we have these emotions, and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm so disappointed, I just don't know what it is. He said, look, see what it is. See what it is. Is it surprise or is it sadness? Is it something that's made you sad or something that surprises you? So Plutchik really is onto something here. Now, then we have remorse. Okay, we have remorse. Now, I like this one because in a court of law, we always say, okay, we try this person and they're found guilty, or somebody cheated on a test, or they stole something, or whatever. And then we say to them, we say, are you remorseful for what you did? Do you have remorse? But that's interesting, because it depends on which side of the brain you're coming from, okay? So remorse, the emotional side is sadness. I am so sorry I did that. I have so much remorse that I made this bad decision. I wish I had never done that. I'm sad that I did this. But look what the other one is, and this is where we get caught sometimes, is disgust. Oh, or you may do something you don't want to do, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm just disgusted that I did. I can't believe I did that. But look what happens a lot of times. Sometimes people get caught, say, cheating on a test or stealing or doing something they shouldn't do, and they're disgusted. Why? Not because they're sad of the behavior. Sometimes they're disgusted because they got caught. So then remorse turns into this. So we go into a court of law, or we go, and the lawyer says, I want you to feel the remorse of my client. And the client says, I have so much remorse. I can't believe this happened, and I'm just, the remorse just covers me totally. Well, what are they saying? Am I totally sad, or am I disgusted that I got caught? So once again, two different sides of the brain. Then we have something called contempt. Now, if we have contempt for somebody, we could go and we can look at it in the dictionary. There's a lot of different areas. But if we have contempt for somebody, we have a definite emotion towards that person, or contempt for something. But once again, the emotional side is anger. That makes us angry. That makes us mad. But it also, on the logical side, we have disgust. So somebody may say, I have contempt for the dog next door that comes over and poops in my yard. Well, does the dog really make you angry, or does it make you disgusted? What type of contempt do you have? And then we move on to the next. These are what Plutchik determines as our main emotions. So then we have aggressiveness. So then this all of a sudden this somebody becomes extremely aggressive. Aggressiveness. Once again, the emotional side is anger. Oh, but the logical side is anticipation. So when I coach football, we always say, man, we need you to be aggressive. We need you to be aggressive. So some kids take that. If they're coming from the emotional side, they're like, yeah, man, I'm so mad at them. Oh, I'm angry. I'm mad. I'm going to be aggressive. But that's not exactly what we're saying. What we're saying is, take that competitive anger, that competition there, but set like a tiger or a lion in anticipation. Don't take out that anger. Don't go out there and have this emotional, oh, I'm so mad, I'm so angry, I don't like this team, whatever, and say, okay, wait on it, anticipation. Anticipate the exact moment to where then you're like, boom, and then you let all that anger out at one time. So that's aggressiveness. Now we move on to the last emotion, optimism. Optimism, is your glass half full, is your glass half empty? Looking for the good things here. Now once again, what is optimism? The emotional side is joy. The emotional side is joy. But the logical side is anticipation. So when we look at optimism, so is somebody seeing life as it's all good and they're just an optimistic person that they always just find the joy? Or is it the logical side that they're always anticipating something good coming? They can see the good in what's coming, or do they just find the good in what's there? And what Plutchik is saying is we've got to do both. So what you do when you look at this is you say to yourself, man, am I more of the emotional reactor, or am I more of the logical reactor? And if so, I've got to look at the other side. Somebody that's optimistic, that's always anticipating something coming, might not stop and smell the roses right then and see the joy in the day that they have there. They might not see the immediate joy. They might always be saying, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. That's optimistic, but it's always down the road. So once again, Plutchik has this incredible system here of looking at both sides of our brain, the right-hand side and the left-hand side. So This is a great opportunity for you to look at this a little bit. I'm going to show